He's available and can spare a few minutes with us. We sure appreciate it, Don. Thanks for coming on in this morning. It's good talking to you.
Well, the pleasure's all mine. It's so nice to come into a place like this where the atmosphere is so cordial and it's so pleasant to even come into this place. There's some very good people here, and I enjoy every minute of coming here and talking to the folks across the whole country, because this is a good way to get the conservative message out, and I think of myself that the only way that we're ever going to recover our country is through conservative principles. And so I'm very, very obliged to Greg and this station for allowing me to do this. And I'd like to say good morning to all the folks here, whether or not I've said that before. But anyway, Greg, this means so much to me. You can't imagine how I feel about it. And so thank you for having me on, and I'd be glad to stay and talk with you as long as you want.
Well, I'm grateful to have you as well. Thank you for spending some time. We appreciate it. I know your schedule's busy, but I'm grateful for the time you had for us today. In the meanwhile, let me ask you something. We're seeing a real paradigm shift right now in this country. This Tea Party movement is a living example of it, but I don't think the Tea Party, a lot of people on the socialist side of the agenda, especially those over at PMSNBC, they love saying the Tea Party movement's a bunch of radicals and a bunch of freaks and a bunch of this and that. Oh, it's a bunch of Republicans out there just trying to be... I got to tell you, I don't think so. I don't think the Tea Party movement are necessarily Republican at all. I think that they're people who are sick of government, period, right now. There's at least as a status quo as is, which I got to tell you, I think is a healthy sign of this country. I mean, it's we're not where we need to be yet, but it's I don't think you can deny it's a healthy start to America, and that some people are really waking up. They may not know exactly where to look. They may not know exactly what's happening, but they're waking up and saying, I don't like what's going on. Something is really wrong. And that's just them saying that alone. I mean, stop me if you disagree, but I think that alone is a huge push in this country right now.
You bet. Whenever people are afraid of something, it means that they don't like it, of course, but that's the reason why they're against it, because they realize that it's something that they don't want to happen. So the Tea Parties, I agree with you, Greg, are very, very important to this country. And right now I would say that maybe the Tea Party movement is maybe the most powerful movement, including the two political parties of the whole country. And we're going to have our say when it comes into November. And I know that there are a lot of people out there, that, like you said, that are Democrats that are coming to the Tea Parties. And for good reason, too, because they realize that most of them that voted for the current administration have made a mistake. It's an un-American administration with a political philosophy that's completely foreign to the one that we're used to in this country. And I think that we've got to change this, and that's what the Tea Parties are all about. The American people say, no, no, no. This can't happen. You can't invade this country. You can't control the American business. You can't control the way that our traditions are set up. We're not going to allow foreign, and also religion is involved in on this too, because I think that the Muslim religion, Islam, is contrary to most of the principles of Christianity. So that's going to give us a lot of problem in the years to come. But nevertheless, we've got freedom of religion in this country, and we're not going to try and kick anyone out because their philosophy differs from ours a little bit. But the way I look at it is, this is a Christian nation. It has been from its very inception. It's the last bastion of Christianity across the entire world, and I think we've got to hold on to it, because the principles of Christianity are love and honesty and dignity and about as close to what the Bible has to say. And so I'm going to promote it for as long as I possibly can, because I think if we lose our basis, our foundation, which is Christianity and conservative principles, we're going to lose our country.
Your president disagrees with you and has actually came out and said the statement, America is not a Christian nation. I'd like to get your thoughts on that in regards to his statement.
Well, we got to remember that there's a lot of controversy about where he was even born, and I am one of those birthers who believe that he was born over in Kenya. If he was not born there, then it would be a very simple task just to produce this birth certificate and show us all once and for all, and we'd bring it to an end. Your basic philosophy gets established, and during those years he was living in a place over in Indonesia. Well, Indonesia is a very socialist, communist sort of country, and they don't share how we think about things in this country. So I think that I just don't like the way Obama thinks, and I know there's a lot of people that are not going to care for that very much because they've probably voted for him. But nevertheless, I'm going to do what I can to return us to the kind of government that we've had in the past.
Coming through. Don Hooper is with me right now. We'll continue the conversation with Don. Don's a candidate for Congress on the Republican ticket. A lot of people running this time around. Did a lot of people pick to choose to come in this race because they felt they saw the paradigm shift that's going on with this president? Do you think a lot of people? I'm asking you to analyze what happened right now. Do you think it's because of health care? I know some have just some jumped in because of that, some admittedly so. But I mean, what do you think just really drew this year? Because we're seeing a lot of candidates, not even just for this race, but just all over the country. I just did the State House 105th debate. 6 candidates running for that race on the Republican side. I mean, there's a lot of people that for whatever reason inside are saying I've had enough.
Well, I should say, I think that the reason that the Americans are waking up right now is because they were complacent for such a long time that we've got ourselves in a huge amount of debt. We've allowed the government to control us, thinking that they're going to be doing a good job, and that didn't happen. Right now we're over $109 trillion of unsecured debt. We owe the Chinese government just better than $9 trillion, and the rest of it to the European Union. And so finally the American people are beginning to say, you know, we got to take control of this. We've got government for the people, by the people, and they haven't been doing a good job, but we haven't been paying that much attention to them. But things are going to change. We're going to now use the power of the people to bring this country back to what it was. And I'm delighted with that fact because they've gotten away with too much for too long. And we're going to have a big shift in this country, and we're going to bring us back to where we started out in 1775. I traveled around this country an awful lot. I traveled now better than 6 million miles. I've been in every state in the Union many, many times. I've traveled to Alaska many times. I've been in France, Great Britain, Mexico, all over this world. And I know a huge amount about what's happening and the basic differences between the different groups throughout the United States, down in the south, up in the northeast, and the migration that took place from the west that went to that part of the country. I know how they feel in the East Coast, and there's very few counties. I employed 24 people, and I drove myself. And I'm telling you, it's a delight to go across this great nation and see in the springtime with the wheat coming up and the new cattle being born. Down at a dinner I attended last night, we had a gentleman down there who is growing cherries around this part of the country, and you probably know him. He is a very successful businessman. This is what America needs, is people that are allowed to use the innovation that they have and to get out there and create. And that's what's been taken away from us, and we can't allow that to happen to us. We've had so much taxation, so much restriction on American business. I think that this has got to change very quickly, or we're just going to slide into a worse condition than we have now. I hope I'm not talking too much about this, Greg, because there's an awful lot to be said about it. But
there is a lot to be said, and we've got time. You take your time on this because it's important. These kind of issues are important. I tell every candidate it is, and I don't think I'm speaking out of turn by saying so.
Well, I feel as though...
By the way, not to interrupt you, let people know they can call and talk to you, Don.
Mm-hmm. Well... as far as jobs are concerned, that's the thing that concerns Americans the most right at this moment. You've got to be...
you want to feed yourself, yeah.
Absolutely. You've got to have a source of income, or else you're going to be in big trouble. And if we had a president that could get out in front of the American people and say, listen, folks, I'm not going to regulate you anymore. I'm not going to tax you anymore. So you go ahead and you buy your tools that you need. You go ahead and you hire the people that you need and start your business rolling again, because I'm here to protect you. As your president, I'm going to get out there and do whatever I can to make this a thriving business community that it has always been. This country is the most industrial nation in the face of the earth, the most generous country in the face of the earth, and I can't understand why he doesn't understand that. I mean, it's so simple to get things rolling again, and they refuse to do it. So what does that lead me to believe? I believe that it's intentional. I think that they would rather bring us down to a third world status and make us a country like the rest of the world. And once you lose the leadership, and once you lose the position of power where you can regulate the world in a safe and sensible manner, then we're going to be in a bigger state of chaos than we are right now.